Hey, what is up, you guys? It's me, Lauren, and welcome to season 2, part 2. Okay, some things have changed. I am blonde now. I straightened out the camera, and we have new high-quality photos. Look at those photos. Yes. So literally, I filmed all of season 2 on like a Saturday night, and then as soon as I filmed season 2, that Tuesday, my second set of photos came in. And then like 2 days after that, the third set. So yeah, so glad that I recorded this when I did, I guess. Anyways, let's just jump into the last few episodes of House of Anubis season 2. So to catch up where we left off at the like middle part of season 2 part 1, we have found that Sabuna, Senkhara, the Collector, and Victor are all after the Mask of Anubis. The last tunnel they needed to complete was this chemical room, which Victor ended up solving before them. R.I.P. They are now in this horn room. Here's the horn room. I'll show it again because why not? And oh yeah, Mara got expelled. So the hearing has happened. Mara is expelled, and as everyone is leaving said hearing, Vera walks out with the groundskeeper who said that he knew her and she worked for him, and they're like giggling, they're giggling, and she's like, great performance. So yeah, it's basically confirmed that Vera had that man lie to essentially cover her tracks because she is a liar. Get ready for the Vera hate train to keep going, because the second half of this season, oh yeah. Trudy ends up seeing this exchange. Remember, Trudy has been on Vera's neck, okay? She's not letting her breathe. She's not letting her get up. And Vera quickly disguises this, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, I'll see you later. And when Trudy walks away, she's like, she needs to stop sticking her nose in places or she's gonna lose it. Is that a threat? On my girl Trudy, who has done nothing but love these children this entire time? Yeah, no, Vera. And after Mara is expelled, Miss Andrews pleads with Mr. Sweet. She's like, please, 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 please. Mara was never going to do it. I'm the one who told her to do it. I didn't want her to publish it. But if there's anyone that you should get rid of, it should be me in place of her. Mr. Sweet, he's on a little tangent. And he's essentially like, I will not be made a fool of. No. And so she kind of walks into class sullenly and tells both Mara and Eddie to go speak to Mr. Sweet. She then decides to cancel class because it has been like extremely hard for everybody, and all of the Anubis kids run to Mr. Sweet's office to basically plead with him to let Mara stay. Eddie and the rest of Anubis are essentially just like, no, like, don't kick her out, and Mara takes full accountability for what she did. She was like, I was wrong, I shouldn't have done it, it is wrong, like, I take accountability for what I did. And Mr. Sweet ends up turning it around and is like, yes, girl, like, you can stay, like, don't worry. So I imagine that this was hard for little us when this first came out, thinking that Mara was going to be expelled. Even though there was like barely a day between each episode, I imagine it was very hard. I don't remember this plot. I don't remember her getting kicked out, but R.I.P. little Lauren. She only really cared about Fabian. So back at Anubis' house, we're having a little lover spat. Vera is mad at Victor because Victor was down in the tunnels during her trial. He didn't give a fuck. And she's like, you said you weren't going to go down there. I didn't want you to go down there. And he's like, chill, girl. Like, they're never going to know I finished the tunnel. Like, I set the door back up. Like, chill out. And so Sabuna decides that they're going to try to go down to the tunnel to complete the task, but can't because Victor and Vera are already down there. And when Vera comes back up from the tunnel, she tells Nina that her gran is sick. I promise this is important. I don't know why I put my hand over the mic like that, but I promise this is important. I said it in the first video for the first season. Anytime I mention something, it is important to the plot. Trust and believe. I'm not telling you shit because I don't want to, especially since these 20-something episodes were full of fucking plot. This script is 40 pages long, full of fucking plot, okay? It is revealed, well, it's known, I didn't mention this earlier, but when Nina's gran came to visit her at the beginning of the season, her gran was already kind of getting sick at Anubis' house, but it started to take a turn for the worse as she started traveling outside. And Patricia had said something rude to Eddie during the trial, and when she goes to apologize to him, she overhears a conversation between him and Mr. Sweet. And guess what she finds out? She finds out that Mr. Sweet is Eddie's dad. I think you know what I'm implying. I think you know what I'm implying. Just maybe wait and see, I guess. So Nina, after hearing the news about her grand, decides to go for a little walkie walk. And while she's on this walk, Senkhara comes to her and she's like, girl, the pretenders are getting close to the mask. Like, you need to hurry up. You're mocking me doing this. And Nina takes a stand, okay? She wants to be defiant in this one moment. She is distraught about her grand, and she essentially tells Senkhara that she's not going to fight for this mask anymore. She can't do it, and she won't do it. And she, like, walks through Senkhara. Like, she's telling this lady, even though this lady has cursed her to death, that no matter what she does, Nina doesn't give a fuck, okay? Nina doesn't care. Nina doesn't care. And so Senkhara says, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Right. Oh, okay. And so Miss Senkhara, if she already hasn't done enough by cursing Nina, Fabian, Amber, Patricia, and Alfie, she's like, fine. You want to defy me? You want to disrespect me? Your punishment is to punish. And she goes away. What does this mean? That next morning at breakfast, Sabuna is going over some stuff. They're chit-chatting, and Alfie's goofing around as his per usual self. I described him as a class clown. Okay, he's being a goofball. And Nina's like, oh, Alfie, you're just a big kid. We hear some whispery woos. His mark lights up, and Alfie starts sucking his thumb. Later at that day in school, Joy and Fabian are setting up for something in like their auditorium, and she's like chatting with him about what their next hangout is going to be, because we'll talk about it if I decide to discuss the characters, but Joy is hella persistent on getting Fabian alone, okay? And Nina walks in and she's like, oh, right, you're going to hang out with her. Because I was going to ask you to go down in the tunnels, and I was going to tell you about this encounter I had with Senkhara, but you must be too busy. And he's like, no, like, never, girl, never for you. And she's like, just forget everything. Like, forget it all. After she tells him to, like, forget it all, the same thing that happened with Alfie happens with Fabian. His mark lights up. We hear some Senkhara-ish noises. And then Senkhara laughs, okay? Her evil masterminding plan is working. And y'all want to hear some devastating news? Turns out Sweet really did take the offer. Miss Andrews is leaving the school. In this moment, I don't know if I ever said it in the first season. In this moment, though, I realized that I really do ship Sweet and Andrews. I don't care if they're really good friends. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't care if they're good friends. This moment between them, I'll put it on the screen. This moment between them. Oh my god. So bye, Miss Andrews. Bye, girl. Bye. You were really the only society member who cared about the kids after Jason. I think that's his name. Jason. Did I already forget his name? Still stuck in the horn room. Victor and Vera make their way down to the tunnel to see if there's any progress. There is not. And Jerome on this quest to get back this gem now needs to get back the shield to put the gem into. I think I talked about this quest last time, how he was getting this gem. Yeah, I did, because Nina and Fabian got it back for him, and they essentially used it to get what they needed back from him. Anyways, on his quest to fulfill this gem dream that he has for his dad, he has to get this shield back. And so they have to play in a ping pong tournament because a rival school has the shield. It is during this game that quite a few things happen. So Amber says something, I don't really remember what it was, and it in turn makes Nina tell her to grow up a little. And while Victor is being nosy Nelly in the tunnel, he sees that they have made no progress, as I told you earlier, and decides to blow on one of the horns. He says, "Ooh," and it blinds that bitch. Blinds. Your ears do not see. It deafens him, okay? So, turns out if you blow on the wrong horn down here, if you do the wrong tune, it's going to temporarily deafen you. It also starts cracking the ceiling. So, there's only so many times you can get it wrong before the ceiling caves in on you, right? Also, during this game, Fabian can't seem to remember the rules, our smarty king. And Alfie is, having trouble, concentrating. He won't sit still. He's running around. He's being a child. Okay, he is being a literal child. And then, so, it's Jerome and Amber playing, because Amber's, good at ping pong, and she's having, troubles this whole game, okay? She's having troubles. She's struggling. And when they lose, Patricia says something snarky, like she always does. She's our mean queen. And Nina says, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Patricia starts trying to like get Nina's attention because she can't talk, and Nina like doesn't know what's going on, and then like Senkhara appears and she's like puts that bitch to sleep. Nina falls asleep and she has this vision where all of her friends are scared. All of the Sabunas, these 4, are scared and they're like running away, and she's like, guys, like it's me, like what's wrong, like what are you so scared of? And when she reaches her room, which Amber and Fabian are in, they're carrying away, she looks in the mirror. That bitch is Senkhara. Okay, she is Senkhara. Nina wakes from the vision but can't seem to really remember it, so she doesn't really know what's going on. Essentially what the vision revealed is what Senkhara told her. She was going to, her punishment was to punish. She has punished / cursed her friends with everything that she has said to them. And when Victor comes back to Vera, she's waiting in the little study because she doesn't have an amulet. He's like, I can't hear you. And she's like, you must be deaf. And he goes, I think I'm deaf. Nina starts noticing that her friends are acting strange. Fabian can't remember anything. Amber's like having table tennis elbow. Patricia can't speak. Alfie's acting like a child. So she's like, I'm calling a Sabuna meeting. They go back out to the woods. Okay. They've been out to the woods. This is the second time they go out to the woods. This was a tradition from season 1. That's often where Sabuna met because they knew that they would be in private. So she calls a meeting and she's like, oh my gosh, like you guys. And then like starts having all these flashbacks. She's like, and realizes that she has cursed her friends. So everything that she has said to them about Alfie being a big kid, telling Fabian to forget everything, telling Amber to grow up a little, and telling Patricia if she doesn't have anything nice to say, she shouldn't say anything at all, cursed them to that. So now Patricia can't talk, Amber is aging, Fabian can't remember anything, and Alfie is de-aging. And to essentially reverse this, they must complete the horn tunnel. So they better get a move on. And to the Jerome plot, okay, they end up winning the ping pong game. Turns out the other team was using weighted ping pong balls. And Jerome is finally able to reunite with the gem with the shield. Trust me, you guys. If I don't have to talk about Jerome, who seems to be so integrated in each mystery, I wouldn't. But unfortunately, I have to. So that night, Nina starts pleading to the dollhouse. This is like their connection to Sarah. She's like, give me a sign. Help me out. Do something. So Senkhara comes and she's like, get the tunnel done. And get it done fast. Or else your friends will suffer more. And Nina wakes up and she's like, thank God it was only just a dream. That next morning, Nina sneaks into Victor's office and finds the amulet. And so she runs to Sabuna and she's like, what if the amulet that we've had this entire time is a spare? And how long has Victor truly had an amulet? And so they now know that Victor has kind of been following their progress. They don't know how much he knows and how much he has progressed. But their new mission, besides figuring out the tunnel, is now how to get the amulet back from Victor to further stop him. Wait a minute. From going down to the tunnel, okay? The more that he advances on the mask, the more angry that Senkhara gets, okay? The Raven, the Pretenders, all Victor and Vera, okay? Okay? And then I want to mention this cute Fabian moment. Of course, Fabian cannot remember a lot of stuff, okay? It's his curse. But him and Nina share this cutie patootie moment where she's like, but you aren't going to forget about me. And he's like, I could never forget about you. I wish my screen recorder could capture audio because then I would include that scene. I just thought it was cute. So that night, even though none of them are truly prepared, Sabuna goes down to the horn tunnel, and Alfie, being the kid that he is like, let me blow on this horn. And Nina's like, no, Alfie, but it has to be a specific tune. He blows on the horn, it deafens everybody, and the ceiling begins to crack again, y'all. Victor followed them down as well to spy on their progress, okay? So it's not working well for anybody, and this is quite annoying. I hate when Victor gets any... The next morning, Nina theorizes that to complete the horn room, they must know the melody of the song. At that moment, Sarah's dollhouse... My label is just flying off. I'm so sorry, friends. Sarah's dollhouse lights up and opens up. The music stand inside the dollhouse has sheet music for a song called The Song of Thor. So now they know the song they need to learn. It's just, how are they going to learn it? And so Amber, my queen, who's never, ever going to take the hard way, she's always going to take the easy way, the smart way, if you will, asks their new history teacher, Ann Jasper, who is following her in I Smell Love, about the Song of Thor. Jasper says it is a key composition, but because it was so long ago and because No one's ever really heard it. The song basically doesn't exist. So it just made Sabuna's mission even harder. So Victor's learning. He's also learning. He's also studying. He's also learning. And he starts looking through all this old shit he has from, I almost said Rufus, this old shit that he has from Robert Frobisher Smythe. And he ends up finding one of those like sound tubes again from season 1. And one is labeled with Hathor. Nina begins to wonder how they're going to know or learn the melody of a song that no one has heard. And Amber, my smart queen, says that Robert must have heard it at some point because he used it to make the task. So there has to be existing sound of the song somewhere. And Alfie, he's been feeling stomach pains all day. Like, man is going through it. And he ends up falling to the floor. And when he gets up, he's like a 9-year-old boy. So the curse is getting worse. Yes, just like Senkhara promised. Yes. Well, one thing I will say that comes great with having a young Alfie is that he is masterminding and he is scheming, and he comes up with this plan to like get Victor away from his office so that Nina can go in there and steal the amulet. So Victor's listening to the little sound tube of Hathor, and Alfie goes, he knocks on the door, and Victor of course follows it out, and he's like, "Who did that? You fucking rotten kids," and like leaves. So Nina runs into the office. She's not able to get the amulet, but she does hear the sound tube playing where Robert Frobisher Smythe is talking about the song of Hathor. So Nina and Fabian, in an effort to steal the recording so that they can listen to it themselves, make a plan to sneak into Victor's office and steal the sound tube. And excuse me, ma'am. And while Victor goes back to his office after not finding young Alfie, he sits down and he listens to his little tube. And learns that the Song of Hathor is 4 horns and an ox bell. Victor knows where to find an ox bell. Do you guys want to know where the ox bell is? It's in the exhibit, The Treasures of Egypt. And so he's telling Vera of this, of course, because they do everything together all the time. I ship it. Don't worry. I ship it. And she plans to go steal the ox bell from the exhibit. And Victor's like, "Oh my gosh, great. We can pin it on the kids." Yes. I love that this old man, this prehistoric man, is so bothered by a bunch of teenagers. It makes my day so much better. And so they're like keying it up. They're giggling. They're laughing. They're like, "Yes, we're going to steal the bell. Yes, we're going to blame it on the kids." And Mr. Fabian was like going into Victor's office, walking past Victor's office, whatever, and he hears this conversation. So he sinks down to the floor, and because he can't remember anything, he starts writing it down. And he's like, the note, I believe, says, "Fabian, Vera is going to steal artifact. Love, Fabian, XOXO." And he's like, "Yes, I got it." And he ends up like walking off. Fabian like rushes back to go tell Nina and Amber what he heard, but of course he doesn't remember because he's in his forgetful era. # Fabian's forgetful era. He even forgets that he wrote it down. The most helpful member at this current moment is the least helpful member. And it's like pissing me off because it's literally like 2 seconds. Like he literally opened the door and walked down the hallway to go to Nina and Amber's room, and now he can't remember that he wrote it down or what he heard. And so Amber's like, "Nina, you should ask Senkhara." And Nina's like, no fucking way. She's already mad enough at me. She's not gonna help us. Like, fuck that. So Victor and Vera are on their way to go steal the bell. Okay. And just before they can steal it, Trudy drags Victor away to help her with something. And Vera's like, "I'm gonna leave with you, but don't worry, I'm gonna come back because I'm gonna steal this bell." And Nina actually does decide to call on Senkhara to help her with the song. Yes, you guys. And Nina calls Miss Senkhara, and she's got a little attitude about it, okay? Nina's like, "Hey girl, can you tell me the melody of this song?" And she's like, "Your time is dwindling, and I don't answer to you." And Nina's like, "Girl, if you want this tunnel done, if you want this freaking mask, just help me with this one thing." She has been nothing but a deterrence this entire time. Like, I don't know why she thought cursing half of Nina's team was gonna make her any more productive of getting this fucking mask. Anyways, Senkhara does one nice thing, and she plays the melody for Nina. Yes, she does. Vera has had enough time. She sneaks back into the exhibit. She breaks the glass. She goes, "Bow," and steals the ox bell. Yep. Nina magically remembers this song and goes to tell Sabuna. Sabuna then runs down the stairs to the tunnels where they play the song, but it doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work. And why doesn't it work? Because Fabian's like, you said it's like a 5-part melody, so why are we only playing 4 horns? Even in his forgetful era, he's so smart. Fabian, my researching king, decides to go research what they could potentially be missing, and we get another cute Fabian moment. Where Fabian tells Nina that he could never forget her. So Fabian makes his way to the Frobisher library, and when he walks in, he sees the broken bell case, and he's like, oh my god, and he's like looking at it, and he's like examining it, and Trudy comes in and she's like, Fabian, I know you didn't break into that. And he's like, what? No, it's not me, it can't be me. And Jasper comes in and he's like, what's going on? And Trudy's like, Fabian broke in and stole the ox bell. And Fabian can't remember what he was doing. He can't remember why he was coming to the library. He can't remember what for. R.I.P. R.I.P. Fabian is being accused of stealing, and Jasper, being the great godfather he is, he's like, no, never my godson. Could never, would never, could not be. And Trudy's like, it's not like Fabian, but just so you know, I'm suspicious. At the house, poor Ams is like fully aging. Okay, her hair is turning white. Miss Girl is not doing well. And we cut back to the Frobisher library where Trudy, I'm looking for her. She's not on the board. She should have been, honestly, because she's so involved in this main mystery, too. That's a fault of my own. Trudy is, like, cleaning up the broken glass, and she finds a pink sweater piece that has some blood on it. A pink sweater piece with some blood on it. Vera, who has successfully stolen the bell and unknowingly pinned it on Fabian, brings the bell to Victor. Oh my gosh, is he so excited. Okay, he is so excited. Nina then somehow, I don't remember how, but Nina finds the lyrics to the Song of Thor, which implicates Senkhara as Tut's murderer. And Fabian rushes in and he's like, Nina, I'm being accused of stealing the ox bell. And Nina's like, no, never could be you. This scene is honestly so amazing. We've seen Fabian go 10 toes down for Nina. Just see Nina go 10 toes down for Fabian. Like, these two, they don't play about each other. They don't. And Nina realizes that maybe, just maybe, they need the ox bell for the song. And Amber's like, well, if you didn't steal it, there's only one other person who's going for the mask that would steal it. Victor. So Victor must have stolen it. And Fabian starts retracing his steps so he can remember if he knew anything, because he's like, I feel like I know something about this bell, but I don't really know what to do. And so he retraces his steps. Literally is walking through the house, and he's looking at all of his notes, and he bumps into Vera, and he ends up dropping the note that he wrote about Vera stealing the exhibit. So she sees him reading it, and he's like, oh my gosh, I have this note that Vera stole the exhibit. And so he takes it to Trudy, and he's like, Trudy, this is proof that I didn't steal the exhibit. And Trudy's like, girl, this is a note. You could have written this at any time. I'm sorry, Fabian. I don't want to believe it's you, but there is no proof. And he's like, no, please, girl, I didn't steal this. But don't worry. Even though Trudy can't take his note as evidence, she's like, I do have my suspicions about who it could be. I'm not going to say what it is, but I do have my suspicions. And we find out at the end of the episode that Alfie has turned into a baby. The curse is getting worse, my friends, okay? Not only is Alfie getting bad, Patricia's getting bad. She can no longer communicate at all. She can't write. She's just only writing in symbols. And Fabian is forgetting anything and everything. He can't even remember his own name. And while this is all happening, Trudy approaches Jasper with the idea that Vera might have stolen the ox bell. And she's like, look, I have this proof. And he's like, no. No. Don't bring this allegation to me again, girl. No. And Fabian is so frustrated with himself about forgetting everything, even his own name, that he storms down to his room and finds the ox bell on his bed. Nina ends up following after him because, couple goals. And she sees the bell and she's like, no, I know you didn't steal it. But now that we have it, we should take it and go down to the tunnel so we can complete the task to reverse the curse on everybody. So they collect all of the Sabuna members. Alfie's there too, but he's a baby. And Nina's like, we have to go down there and play it. Amber and Alfie have to stay in the room because, he's a baby. and someone has to look after him, so it's going to be Amber. So it is Patricia, Fabian, and Nina. And one of my favorite things ever in this scene particularly, lots of Fabian moments in these first 5 episodes, really. Nina is like talking about motivating them. She's like, we have to go, we have to do this. And she says, Sabuna. And Fabian right away, no hesitation, says it too, because he feels like he can trust Nina. He doesn't know who she is, but he feels like he can trust her. I'm like a little rat. I love them. While Sabuna is down in the tunnel to get ready for the song, Victor and Vera's plan starts to play out, and he calls up Sweet, and he's like, hey, remember that artifact that's missing? I might know who has it. And guys, yippee-ki-yoodles, the cat says doodle. Patricia, Fabian, and Nina successfully play the song. Okay, that means they get to open the next tunnel, and that means the curse is reversed. So now that has all happened, they venture back up because they have to head to school. And Patricia's like, don't worry, you guys, I'm going to go in late. I'm going to return the bell to the library. As Patricia makes her way back to the library, we see that she's intercepted. I don't remember by who. Vera, Victor, she's intercepted. I think she's intercepted by Victor. Anyways, Patricia is intercepted. They're all brought to the auditorium, and Mr. Sweet is like, I have received information that y'all might be in possession, that cowboy dancing video, that you guys might be in possession of the missing bell. Bag checks. So they start checking everybody's bag. Nina's bag, clean. Fabian's bag, clean. Amber's bag, clean. Jerome's bag, clean. Mara and Eddie's bags, clean. Alfie's bag, clean. Patricia's bag, clean. There is no bell inside. Everyone is really impressed. They're like, oh my god, Patricia, like, how did you hide that? Like, how did you hide that? You didn't have enough time. Like, that's so cool. And Patricia ends up running off, but then she reappears again and shows the rest of Sabuna that she couldn't get the bell back because I believe Jasper was in the library still, so she still has it. They must figure out how to put the bell back, so they come to the library, all of them as a gang. And Alfie, the king of distractions, distracts Jasper by picking up a bust and, like, jumbling it for a while. Sabuna is able to put the bell back, so there's no cause for concern, and they didn't get in trouble for something they didn't do. So after they have put the bell back, they decide to go back down to the tunnels to look at the next room. The next room is dedicated to Horus, the god of light. And they find, like, this hand. It's sitting exactly like this, which has a stream of light going into it. And so, like, they think that it's supposed to be holding something. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And Jasper and Trudy are like, oh my god, the bell is back. Yeah, the bell is back. But the chain is shorter than normal. You want to know how Patricia pulled off the amazing stunt of not getting caught with the bell in her bag, but then turning the corner and having the bell in her bag? It was her twin sister. Yep. Jade Ramsey's twin sister plays Patricia's twin sister, Piper, and she has shown up at Anubis' house after running away from her prestigious music school because she was not happy with it. That's it. There's nothing more. There's more character-wise, but not main plot-wise. We don't see Piper much after this in the main plot. Jasper and Vera are talking about the missing bell, and of course Miss Trudy is overseeing this information. And Miss Vera, she uses the same line against Jasper that she used for Trudy, being like, keep your nose out of business that is not yours. Jasper thinks that the collector had something to do with the theft of the bell. Vera won't confirm this because she's not allowed to know anything. And while she's talking, Trudy notices a cut on her arm. Trudy, after Vera leaves, decides to approach Jasper with the proof that Vera stole the bell by showing him the sweater piece, and he's like, no. Sabuna is still down in the tunnel, of course, because time makes no sense in this House of Anubis era. And Alfie notices a little riddle on the floor. On 6 little stars that borrow light, a secret falcon takes its flight. Seek the star in the jackal's lair. Be always vigilant and beware. For the quester that completes this task will find the chamber of the mask. So, Sabuna's excited because if they get the 6 little stars that borrow light, they will find the mask chamber, which means they will get Senkhara off their butt and these marks will be gone. So Fabian figures that they need to make a constellation and figures that they need to use something that reflects light, 6 little stars that borrow light. So Nina breaks a mirror and she tries to use it, but it's not just any mirror that can be used. Sabuna then decides to go research, and on their way out, Senkhara appears to Miss Nina, and she's like, "You're doing well. Don't ever disobey me again. The threat is heard, girl, okay? You knocked us out for like 4 episodes. We got it." And Trudy sneaks into Vera's room, and she goes into her closet, and she finds the little sweater, and she matches the piece up to the sweater. She also finds the bell chain, because remember, Vera is the one who stole it. Vera comes in while Trudy is doing this, and Trudy confronts her, and she's like, "Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? I'm gonna tell Mr. Sweet." Vera tries to fake it off, but Trudy's not falling for it, okay? This little act Vera's going for, Trudy's not falling for it. She's like, "I've had my eye on you this entire time." And so Vera's like, "You know what? No, fuck you," and locks Trudy in her room. And she's like, "I don't know how to see how you're going to get out to tell Mr. Sweet anyways." So Sabina guesses that just because they can't use any mirror means they need to find little reflectors, as we will call them, with a little bird symbol on them. And Nina thinks that she's seen that symbol before, but she can't really remember where. And she's going to go visit her gran in the hospital. Trust me, it's important. And she's supposed to go with Trudy. But Trudy is nowhere to be seen. Vera offers to go, but she's like, "No." "No thanks." And Amber, she's playing with her dollhouse, okay? She wanted this for one thing and one thing only, and that was to play dolls. So she's like, "I worked so hard to place them in the right rooms, but every time I leave and close it and come back, they're in a different room." So she moves them to where she put them, because she's like putting them in the little activities for the day, closes it, it lights up, she opens it again, and she's like, "See, they moved." But Nina's like, maybe this is Sarah trying to communicate with us. Maybe Sarah's trying to tell us in what room the reflectors are in. So Sabina makes their way to Victor's office to see if they can find anything, but they are unsuccessful. And Jerome, welcome back, Jerome. We never get tired of hearing you, who's not on the board. Jerome is helping in the exhibit to make money to pay the private investigator that he hired to find his dad at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I know, a plot that I should have mentioned, but I'm not going to mention because the dad plot is so unimportant to me. Anyways, he's helping Jasper put some books away, and when Jasper lifts up the books, he finds a letter. This letter is from Trudy, and it says that she had to go be with her brother who had just broke his leg and take care of her nieces and nephews. And Jerome's like, suspicious. And so, in discussion for the reflectors, Nina and Fabian are talking about the riddle in the kitchen, and of course, Victor overhears them. I miss Every Day season 1, where Sabina would not talk about this shit out loud in common areas. They have done this multiple times in season 2. And why are you talking about important information like this in the kitchen? Why not in your bedroom? Why not in the woods? Why not somewhere else? In the kitchen. Anyways, Victor hears them talking about the riddle that they heard. And Fabian theorizes that the jackal's lair means Anubis' house, meaning all reflectors are inside Anubis' house. And guess what, you guys? Victor pulls out his little pocket watch. And guess what's on it? A symbol of a falcon. Victor has one of the reflectors. Because of course he does. And so guys, do you want to know where Trudy is? Trudy is kidnapped. Trudy's kidnapped, and she's being kept in the same barn that Patricia was kept in season 1. Yep. So Victor, after hearing Nina and Fabian loudly discuss the riddle that they heard, goes down to the tunnel room, goes down to the light room, and puts his pocket watch in the hand that the light is streaming into, and sees it begin to reflect. So now Victor's on the hunt for the reflectors. While he's looking, being annoying, he notices this key on the wall. It's a zodiac. He notices the zodiac on the wall, and he thinks that this could help him find the reflectors. I'm so happy for what's about to come for him. I'm just so happy about it. But don't you guys worry, okay? He might have this half zodiac. But Nina and Amber have the dollhouse, okay? Sarah's spirit is working hard here. And so it starts lighting up again, and this time all the dolls are in Sarah's room, which is Nina and Amber's room. And so Nina's like, wait, I have this music box. I knew that symbol looked familiar. So she gets out Sarah's stuff. She gets out the music box, and on the mirror in the music box is a little falcon symbol. I'll add a picture. I'm adding pictures, you guys, because I can add pictures this time around. It has a little falcon symbol, so now they have one reflector at school that day. Jasper's on the phone with somebody talking about the Frobisher gem and the Frobisher shield. And Jerome, my bad bitch, my king, even though he gets on my nerves a lot, I must applaud him for this. He overhears this conversation. He's like, so what is that about? Who are you talking to about the shield and the gem? And Jasper's like, nobody. Just my friend. Just a friend. Just a friend. Jasper mentions the collector over the phone call because he's talking to the collector. And Jerome's like, so what's that about? And Jasper's like, nothing, and scurries off. And you know what's really annoying? Okay, so remember when I said that Victor has half the zodiac from the wall? Guys, he has the other half. It was in the book of Isis. And so he's showing Vera. And he's like, Vera, look, I have this zodiac that's going to tell me how to find all these reflectors. And look, I have a pocket watch that has a reflector on it. And they're like, we don't need those brats to succeed anymore, okay? They don't need to do all the heavy work. We can come in now and we can take the spoils, because he probably also saw the message about how the Chamber of the Mask was going to be found next. So now it really is, well, at first, I mean, it's always been Nina versus Victor, but now it's like really Nina versus Victor, because Victor doesn't need to use her anymore. I'm really happy about what's to come next. But because Victor is so close to that sweet, sweet mask, he decides to start researching more to find the elixir. So he's never going to let that go, you guys. He's never going to let that go. Anyways, later that night, Jasper sneaks into the school and steals the Frobisher gem. Shout out Jasper. That's why he's over here, because sometimes he's like a foe, and I'm real sick of him. And because Jerome is kind of anxious about this, he notices that the gem is gone and starts to freak out. When he starts to freak out, he runs to Mr. Sweet's office to go get Mr. Sweet, and while Jerome is gone, Jasper plants a fake. So it's like it never even disappeared. So Sabuna, after finding their first reflector, go down to the tunnel. They place the reflector. The same thing that happened to Victor happens to them, okay? It starts bending. They're excited. We have 5 more reflectors to find, okay, for Sabuna. And 5 more for Victor. We have 2 found. 4 left to find. Anyways, they notice the zodiac on the wall, and they're like, maybe that can tell us what the rest of the reflectors are. So back to the Jerome plot line. Guys, get ready to hear a lot about Jerome. This is when he finally enters the main mystery, okay? He was involved in the last one. He's going to be involved in this one. Anyways, Jerome is persistent that Mr. Sweet launched an investigation about this fucking gem. And Mr. Sweet is like, no, I had it authenticated by Jasper. Don't worry about it. Nothing needs to happen. But that's not settling for my man Jerome. Oh, no. So while Fabian is struggling to figure out the rest of the zodiac, Jerome is running to Jasper and being like, where is it? You authenticated it? Was it the collector? What did you do with it? And Jasper's like, no, stop asking. Don't worry about it. It's the real gem. Jerome, leave it alone. And Jerome's like, no, no, I will not. I'm going to find this fucking gem. So that night at Anubis' house, Nina is like studying to find the rest of this zodiac. She's also studying like some notes that she has for different things. I think they're studying for a test. Either way, Nina is running upstairs past Victor with a stack of papers in her hand. Victor is fresh out of his research of the book of Isis and also has a stack of papers in their hand. They run into each other. They spill the papers everywhere. Nina notices that Victor has the full zodiac. So she swipes that shit up. She ends up grabbing Amber, and they run into the bathroom so she can take a picture of it. She does return the page back to Victor, but they do not have a picture of the full zodiac. So they can figure out the rest of the reflectors. Level playing ground, bitch. After watching Jasper all night because he does not believe anything he is saying, Jerome finally has the opportunity to check Jasper's computer. And when he cracks the password, which is the collector, he finds a series of emails between the collector and Jasper. In these emails, it was revealed that Jasper did in fact give the gem to the collector. And he ends up getting caught by Jasper, okay? He ends up getting caught by Jasper. But there is nothing quite like an angry Jerome, okay? And he's like, cut the shit. Where's the gem? And Jasper starts telling Jerome a little bit about the collector and that he's not a man to be reasoned with. And that Jerome really just needs to leave it alone. Like, leave it alone, Jerome. Stop worrying about this. Like, you have to get it up. The only way we can get that gem back is if we trade him for something different. And I have a picture of the gem. Here's the gem. This is the gem. Say hi to the gem. Anyways, Jerome's not going to give up, okay? Not only is he going to find this gem, he's going to find Trudy. So he takes the letter that Trudy left behind, and he ends up bringing it to Mara. At the same time, Sabuna is cracking the zodiac and are able to identify the 6 reflectors. Also, shout out at this moment, they play BuzzFeed Unsolved music. I'm sure it was just royalty-free music that they had at the time, which Nickelodeon, royalty-free music is crazy. Anyways, Jerome is showing this letter to Mara, and Mara's like, that's so strange. She doesn't have any nieces and nephews. That's why she dotes on us so much, because she doesn't have children to look after in her family. And then she points out that written across every first letter of the letter is help me. So now Jerome knows that Trudy is in trouble. During school, Victor visits Jasper. Basically, the museum curator, the curator of the exhibits, is coming to visit. He has heard news of the bell being stolen. He just wants to come and make sure everything's okay. And Jasper's like, host a dinner for him, Vic. Host a dinner for him at Anubis' house. And Victor, he do. This is going to work out in Sabuna's favor, because Patricia, Amber, and Nina are all going to work as waitstaff, and Fabian and Alfie are going to be the entertainment for this dinner. Now, this is important, okay? Alfie's plan as his entertainment is to do magic. And in this magic trick, he is going to take the amulet that Victor has and swap it out with the fake that they have. And so he performs this little switcheroo with Fabian's calculator watch, and he ends up breaking it. And Sabuna's like, fine, you can do the trick, but you cannot break the amulet. Like, we need this to work. Okay. That night, Jerome takes the letter to Jasper and is essentially like, she is kidnapped. Trudy is kidnapped. What do we do? At that same time, Sabuna keeps furthering the cracking of the zodiac, and Jasper ends up telling Jerome that the collector is the one who kidnapped Trudy. And he doesn't exactly know why the collector has done this, but in an effort to get Trudy back, Jerome is now entering the plot to help Jasper steal Frobisher Smythe stuff so that they can rescue Trudy. So let's add Jasper to the board. Jasper's already on the board. Let's add Jerome to the board, okay? Welcome to the plot, Jerome. So Sabuna hath gone down to the tunnels. I don't really remember why, but they're down there. And Nina's locket begins to glow, and they notice a lock in the shape of an amulet, only to realize that the amulet that can open the door is Victor's. So now they really got to steal that amulet back if they want to progress in any way to the next room. I love how much our board has filled out. Look at how much progress we have made. There's only just a few more things that I need to put on here. Anyways, Mara asks Jerome about the letter that Trudy sent, and he brushes her off, and he's like, don't worry, I asked about it, she's fine. This is to keep her safe, because this season, I know I talked about it a little bit in season 1, but this season, the romance between Jerome and Mara is really brewing up. Like, y'all don't understand it, it's getting there, okay? And I actually support this time, okay? I do. So, I actually really like this sequence. It is the time of the dinner. The amazing Alfredo is up, and he begins to do his magic trick. But against the wishes of the rest of the Sabuna members, Alfie takes the amulet and breaks it. So after he breaks it, Victor freaks out, and he's like, no. And in a scuffle, Alfie drops the real amulet. And when Victor goes to grab it, Alfie steps on it, crushing it. So now Alfie has destroyed both the replica amulet, the replica amulet, and the real one. And while everybody has been at this dinner, because keep in mind, all of them are kind of like working in it and entertaining in it, Jerome has snuck into Nina and Amber's room and found the dollhouse, which he attempts to steal. But after Victor gets mad at Alfie for breaking his amulet, I know I'm out of frame, deal with it, Alfie is shooed off. They all end up running back to Nina and Amber's room, and they're like, what did you do that for? Like, Alfie, now we don't have it. Alfie reveals that he has had the amulet the entire time. So basically, his plan was that he needed 2 fake amulets. So they used the one that Victor had made, and then he made one himself. So he took Victor's amulet, hid it in a trick pouch, did the trick, smashed one of the replicas, then dropped the real amulet on the floor, which was the other replica, and when Victor tried to grab it, he broke it. Basically, he knew that Victor wouldn't fall for the trick if he only broke 1 amulet, so he had to break 2. So now they have the amulet that Victor stole. Yay. I love when Sabuna has a win. It is the most amazing thing ever. Like, they should always win and Victor should always lose. So during that whole conversation, Nina knows that the dollhouse has been moved. Amber confirms this, and they decide that whoever was trying to take it is going to come back for it anyways, and they decide to lock it up in their wardrobe. Anyways, after the whole debacle with the broken amulet, Vera offers to go get it fixed along with the doll that Nina broke in the first episode of the season, and Jerome tells Jasper about the dollhouse that he wants to use to get Trudy back. And Victor stupidly plans to padlock the cellar. I'm still amazed that after all this time he has not figured out how Sabuna's getting down there. So I like that they also have that over him too. He will forever be stupid in that way. So Nina figures from the zodiac that the cup of Ankh might be a reflector. And so when Vera heads out to go get the amulet and the doll fixed, they sneak up to her room, they get it out of the secret compartment, but there's no falcon symbol on it. So it must mean some other kind of cup. At the same time, Jerome, who thinks Vera has the dollhouse because he went to go get it back from the room, which it's locked up in, he sneaks into Vera's room to steal the dollhouse. And while Jerome, Fabian, and Nina are all in there, Vera ends up coming back. So they all have to hide. And she ends up answering a phone call. And during this phone call, she is updating somebody on the situation, the amulet, what's going on. And basically they agree that they're going to make the House of Anubis dance to their tune. This is finally when Nina and Fabian realize that Vera is the enemy. Took them way too long, but here we are. Anyways, Vera returns later in the day with the fixed amulets, both of them, and reveals to Victor that both of the amulets are fakes, okay? And so Victor's mad, and he goes to search Alfie's room, but it's too late, okay? Sabuna's already downstairs in the tunnel using the amulet to open the next door. It's another fucking tunnel. Jasper and Jerome meet up yet again to discuss the dollhouse. The collector already knows about it. The collector is waiting for it, and he is impatient, okay? They need to get that dollhouse, and they need to get it now. Sabuna ends up following the tunnel and finds out that it leads to the Frobisher Library. So there is another way to get down to the tunnels that does not require an amulet. So Victor's search of Alfie's room comes up blank, but he's like, fuck it, I'll just focus on getting all the reflectors, because if they don't have the reflectors, they can't complete this room. And while Sabuna is in the secret tunnel that leads to the library, he overhears the conversation between Jerome and Jasper, where they're basically discussing how they're going to steal shit from the tunnel. It's basically them conspiring, them plotting, and Fabian is really torn up about this because he thought he could trust Jasper, and now he feels like he can't. So Fabian, obviously distraught about his godfather being in cahoots with Jerome about stealing stuff, it's a whole thing, actually does like confront Jasper about this. He's like, what's going on? What is happening? And Jasper comes up with this lie that Jerome is helping him find this like Egyptian gnome thing because it had been stolen. It had been all over Eastern Europe. It was like this big prank. And Fabian goes to Jerome with this, like hoping to catch him up in a lie. And I'm guessing that Jasper and Jerome ended up speaking about this because Jerome goes with it. And he's like, oh yeah, the gnome prank. I'm just not letting anybody come for my crown because I'm the number one prankster in the school. I know why on Jasper's side he's not telling Fabian about this, but Jerome fucking knows that these people know about secrets and mysteries. So why not tell them the truth? So after school, Amber is looking at her little figures in the dollhouse, and she tells Fabian and Nina that they have moved to the kitchen, and they start exploring. And turns out the clue didn't mean the cup of Ankh. It meant this goblet, which has the falcon symbol on it. Of course, I'll put up a picture of it. So they have found the second reflector. So now we have 3 reflectors: the mirror and Sarah's music box, the goblet, and Victor's pocket watch. And Jerome notices the doll on Victor's desk, the one that Vera went and got fixed, and ends up taking this to be a replacement for the dollhouse because Sarah Frobisher Smythe did in fact own it. It's Sarah's doll, so it's a Frobisher Smythe thing, so the collector should want it. And anyways, we're going to welcome a new person to the main plot, Eddie. Eddie is tasked with writing an article about the exhibit, and he has to watch these bid videos. He has to watch a video of the house. Anyways, while he's watching these videos, he gets a glimpse of Senkhara on the video. And this piques his interest, which is interesting for Eddie considering he's never really interested in anything. And he takes this evidence to Mara, who is also intrigued by it. So Mara and Patricia are roommates, by the way, as well as Joy. And he ends up showing this to Patricia as well. And in an effort to protect Eddie and Mara from Senkhara's evil wrath, she's like, it's nothing. It's a trick of the light. it's a camera glitch. Like, don't worry about it. But Eddie will not listen. At this point, I should say my second favorite Anubis couple is dating at this point. Patricia and Eddie. Petty. Love them. Love them. They have had issues all season, but I love them regardless. And Patricia, of course, has to tell the rest of Sabuna that Eddie and Mara have now seen Senkhara, which puts them in danger. She tells them this as they attempt to go down to the basement to test out their second reflector. And that is also the same night that Eddie and Mara... Yes, Eddie and Mara. I don't know why I tripped up on that. That Eddie and Mara decide they need to ghost hunt in the house. So Sabuna goes down and they test a reflector. Of course it works because it's a reflector. And on the wall they notice like this moon and it's moving. And it's basically like a timer for how long they have until they can't complete the room. So Sabuna figures out while in the tunnels that the next clue is in the doll. You know, the doll that Jerome hath taken. And so Fabian's like, let's just ask the dollhouse where the doll is. And when they go to ask the dollhouse where the doll is, it's kind of like in the main hallway. And as they go down to check, guess who's walking through the main hallway? It is in fact Jerome with the doll in his bag to trade to the collector for Trudy's freedom. So Jasper takes the doll to trade in place for the dollhouse. And Jerome is not supposed to go with him, but Jerome follows him anyways because he is a rule breaker. Anyways, the collector pulls up with Vera. And Jasper's like, here's this doll. You can take this doll. Vera's shocked to see that Jasper has the doll because how did Jasper get the doll? And the collector's like, nah, I don't want this fucking doll. Because Jasper did not give him what he wants. The collector gives Jasper 24 hours to get him the dollhouse or else Trudy's going to die. All the while, our Sabunas are cracking the next reflector, which is a stone in a mosaic that is supposed to be in Anubis' house. So at this point, we have the doll eye, the mirror from the music box, the goblet, and Victor's pocket watch. We have four of the 6 reflectors, y'all. How wonderful. Too bad no one really knows where the doll's eye is. Victor has the pocket watch, but at least Sabuna has 2. Victor also ends up solving the doll's eye riddle, so he just has to get the doll back, which he doesn't know where it is because Jasper has it. Anyways, in this moment, even though Joy has been pissing me off in this season, Sabuna is like discussing stuff at school, and Joy is like obviously knowing, like Joy is obviously paying attention to what's going on. Let this girl in. I think a lot of issues that we end up having in the second half of the season could be easily avoided if they just included Joy in what they were doing. Am I crazy to think that? Don't worry, you guys. Because of Joy's spying, she hears that Patricia is looking for the mosaic. Okay. And luckily, Jasper did not get rid of the doll after the collector would not keep it. So he does still have it. Joy, in an effort to get on Fabian's good side and just be around him, tells Fabian that she remembers seeing the mosaic somewhere because it used to be in the house. It's not anymore. She takes him to one of the classrooms and she's like, I thought it was in here. I was so for sure it was in here. And so Fabian and her play this game where he like names a bunch of stuff and she like says words that associate with them. So when he says mosaic, she says library. So the mosaic is in the Frobisher library. And in my notes, I wrote, please, Nina's reaction to Joy and Fabian. So Lauren, include that because I don't really remember that reaction. What is all that popping, y'all? Am I gonna die? I'm scared. Did you guys hear that? I don't know what that was. Cue the girl farting. Jerome, after witnessing the events of last night, officially confronts Jasper about everything that's going on. And yes, Jasper finally does confirm that Vera has been working with the collector. Something we already knew, but is now more so confirmed for Jerome. And Jerome's like, I will get the dollhouse. Like, trust and believe I'll get that fucking dollhouse. So that night, in an effort to go get the stone from the mosaic, Sabuna makes their way down to the tunnel to use a secret passageway to get into the library. Wow, what a mouthful. Unfortunately, Amber hath forgotten to lock up the dollhouse tonight. And while they are gone and it is unlocked, Jerome takes the opportunity to sneak into Amber and Nina's room and steal Sarah's dollhouse. But as he's leaving the house with it, the camera that Eddie and Mara have set up for ghost hunting catches him stealing it. You see, I mentioned it for a reason. It's also important to know that Senkhara knows who Eddie and Mara is, because it's important that Senkhara knows everybody. Anyways, Sabuna is able to successfully find the mosaic piece, so they now technically have 3. They have the goblet, the mirror, and the mosaic piece. And while looking, the mosaic is like in this desk drawer, and when they go to put the mosaic back, Fabian ends up finding the gnome that Jerome is supposed to be finding for Jasper, these little two troublemakers over here on the board, and realizes that his godfather is in fact lying to him. The next morning, Nina notices that the dollhouse is missing and worries that it is Victor or Vera who took it. We know who took it. Jerome did. Jasper, after seeing the dollhouse, sets a meeting with the collector to do the trade-off, and the collector agrees to come to this, but he says, if you fuck with me anymore, bitch, you will die. You will die. Lots of death. It's nice to know that Nickelodeon never shied away from strong, hard topics like death and murder. Jerome is digging his toes in now. Not only did he steal for Jasper, but he knows that Jasper cannot deal with the collector on his own after hearing him threaten his life. So Jerome's like, I'm going to this meeting with you. I don't have to physically be with you, but I will be at that meeting. So at the meeting, Jasper meets the collector and offers up the dollhouse, and the collector, who now has the dollhouse, takes it, and he's like, okay, bye. Bye, bye. And Jasper's like, where's Trudy? Like, you told me you would give me Trudy. I want Trudy. Like, gimme Trudy. Jasper's angry because he's like, we had a deal. And the collector says, no, we don't have a deal. We never had a deal. And in anger, Jasper rips off the collector's hood to reveal the collector to be. Y'all aren't even ready for this. Can I get the picture? My reveals never go the way I want them to go. Anyways, the collector is Rufus. Yes, Rufus, Zeno, who is believed to be dead, is not dead. Actually, he is the collector. And I'm still really mad that transition didn't work, because that would have been so boss. Anyways, use my picture from season 1 of Rufus Zeno that I got from a Russian dub of House of Anubis. So, we've learned that the collector this entire time has been Rufus, who we originally thought was dead. Yes, no, he faked it. And he ends up taking the dollhouse and leaving, so you know. One second. That was so strange. I don't know what that was. Sorry, I just heard like TBH. I thought someone was trying to break in my house. Anyways, so we know that Rufus is the collector now. Okay, he has been the collector this entire time, and he ends up driving off with the dollhouse. All the while, Sabuna is trying to figure out who took the dollhouse, and Alfie says something about the walls having eyes, and they do. Turns out they really do, because Mara and Eddie have been filming for their ghost hunt. And so they make a plan to steal the camera because maybe, just maybe, the camera caught whoever took the dollhouse. So Victor ends up getting the doll eye. He figured out that clue. Okay. And then he's telling Vera about the clues. And he mentions one about the sun. And he's like, but we possibly can't get, like, the actual sun. And she goes, but what if you can? And Amber and Alfie at the same time are sneaking into Eddie and Fabian's room to get the ghost cam. And when they look at the pictures, they find that it was Jerome who stole the dollhouse, okay? Mr. Jerome, he's on the board now. He was the one who stole the dollhouse, of course, we know, to rescue Trudy from Rufus, the collector, but they don't really know, and now Sabuna is becoming suspicious of Jerome again. So Vera takes Victor up to her room. Remember, she lives in the attic that they weren't supposed to go to in season 1, and shows him the window. The window that helped them solve a clue in season 1 is also helping them solve a clue in season 2, and they like remove a sun piece, and it has a falcon on it. So all of our reflectors are the doll's eye, Victor's pocket watch, the sun, the goblet, the mirror from the dollhouse, the mirror from the music box, and the mosaic stone. So Sabuna has 3 and Victor has 3. So it's very evenly split right now. Jasper and Jerome, in their effort to see where Rufus is keeping Trudy, end up following them to the barn. And Jasper's like, I want to go in. I'm going to go do something about it. And Jerome's like, no, I know Rufus, he is dangerous. Like, we can't jump into this. And returns back to Anubis' house to be immediately confronted by Amber and Alfie, my fave power couple. My third fave couple, actually, in House of Anubis, even though they also aren't technically together right now. And they're like, so tell me it's not as bad as you stealing this dollhouse. Like, why are you stealing it? And tell me that that's not bad. And Jerome's like, oh no, girlies. It's much, much worse. So Jerome Jerome over here ends up going with Amber and Alfie to the rest of Sabuna, and he basically tells them that he took the dollhouse for Jasper, but not just for anything. It's because he was using it to help rescue Trudy. They're being blackmailed, essentially. Jasper's being blackmailed by the Collector to get Frobisher spy stuff so that they can get Trudy back. And during this time, he also reveals that Vera is the Collector's agent, something we have known, but now Sabuna finally knows. And he apologizes for everything, which is so out of character for Jerome. He never apologizes about anything. And so Jerome and Sabuna decide to go to Victor with all of this information. They're like, Victor, the Collector is Rufus. He's alive. Vera works for him. Like, please, 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 you have to believe us. And Victor's like, no. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Why would you lie? Like, and in this moment, I got really annoyed because, Victor, you know, you have been tiffing with these kids for 2 seasons now. You know they do not involve you in anything until they need to involve you in something. Why would they lie to you? Why? Why would they? Anyways, Victor doesn't believe them and, like, ushers them out of the office. Vera tries to press him about what it was about, but he won't tell her, which I do think is a good move on his part. Victor ends up cracking the Zodiac code for the goblet, which we know that Sabuna has. And during this moment, he's, like, talking about Sarah, and it's very sentimental. And I was very touched by it. He's telling Vera about her. And he's like, oh, she was a good friend. Like, she was my friend. Like, I think that had Victor's dad not been so hell-bent on making this elixir, Victor and Sarah would have been, like, because they were friends. Like, they were best friends. We saw this in season 1. I thought it was a cute moment. We don't see Victor be sentimental often. During this conversation, Victor and Vera are talking about how many reflectors they have, and Amber and Patricia are listening in, the girlies, and they find out that Victor has 3 reflectors. So when they go to tell the rest of Sabuna, Vera then listens in on their conversation to find out that Sabuna has 3 reflectors. So we're at a tie right now. They have 3, he hath 3. What to do? During this time, Rufus brings the dollhouse back to the barn, and he drops it next to Trudy, and he's like, soon you will no longer be needed. Soon you'll no longer be needed, girl. So the next day at school, Sabuna plus Jerome go to confront Jasper. There's a lot of confronting. Okay? There's a lot of confronting in this second half. And they are essentially like, give us the dollhouse back. Amber says, like, grovel and help us figure out how to get the dollhouse back. And Jasper's like, listen, the only reason I didn't tell you guys was because Fabian's life was at stake. And Nina's like, well, joke's on you. We've dealt with this man before. We know how evil he is. He's pure evil. And Jasper says that the only way they could really possibly get the dollhouse and or Trudy back is to give the Collector what he really wants. And what he really wants is the mask of Anubis, the real mask of Anubis. And since they haven't quite found it yet, because remember, half reflectors, chamber of the mask hath not opened, Fabian comes up with this idea that they paint the replica mask to look like the real mask and give it to Rufus, because Rufus doesn't know that they don't have the real mask. So they're going to disguise this mask as a real mask and give it to him. Anyways, Alfie ends up taking the mask to paint it, and the plan is that Nina, Fabian, Amber, and Alfie and Jerome will all sneak to the barn to go rescue Trudy while Jasper is meeting with Rufus to give him the mask, and Patricia will stay back to cover for the rest of Sabuna. And Joy, she's not on the board, Joy starts to notice that Sabuna is scheming, and is becoming suspicious of everything that is going on. Remember, this girl was involved in the mystery in the first season. I don't know why they haven't involved her. Also, at this point, only 3 Sabuna members don't know about the mystery. Like, Joy obviously knows about mysterious stuff. She doesn't know about the mystery this season. And Eddie and Mara are both kind of clueless, even though they have seen Senkhara. Isn't that insane? Like, I mean, it's the same members as last time, but it's, like, crazy that they have been so loud and obvious about this stuff, but yet 3 members of the house don't even know what's going on. So it's the time of the meeting. Alfie gives the mask replica that is now painted to look like the real mask to Jasper, and when Nina goes to get Alfie to head to the barn, they end up getting caught by Mr. Sweet, keeping them from being able to go to the barn, so they get stuck in class. So now at the barn, it is only Fabian, Nina, Amber, and Jerome. What an odd little group there, you know? Rufus heads out to the meeting with Jasper. He locks the barn door, but luckily, you guys, Eddie has taught Fabian how to pick locks, so Fabian begins to pick the lock of the barn. And Nina and Patricia, one of the few Sabuna members who are not able to go, are back at the house, and Victor's like talking to them about something, and they notice that his pocket watch has the falcon symbol on it. Nina, Patricia, and Alfie plan to go help the others at the barn like they originally wanted to, but as they're going to leave, Senkhara stops them. She literally like controls them with their mark. She's like holding them, making them stay in pain, but Alfie is able to slip away, luckily, so that means only Patricia and Nina are not able to leave. However, at the same time, Fabian, Amber, and Jerome are able to get into the barn, able to get Trudy, but just as they're about to leave, someone approaches. They don't know who it is. They think it's this is not Victor. They think it's Rufus. It is actually Vera. She ends up locking them into the barn, so they are now trapped in the barn. Nina and Patricia want to leave and are like pleading with Senkhara, like, we need to go help our friends. We need to go help our friends. And Senkhara's like, no. Nope. Chosen one, your only job is to get this fucking mask so that I can get what I need. And Nina's like, well, we can't even get the mask anyways because we don't have the other 3 reflectors. Victor has them. And so Senkhara's like, the little raven-loving weirdos had too many victories. And for once, her and I agree. And back at the barn, Amber, Fabian, Jerome, and Trudy are hearing another car approaching. They're worried it's Rufus coming back, and so they start screaming for help. Or maybe they hope it's somebody else. Anyways, they start screaming for help. Turns out, the sound they heard was Alfie. Alfie had found like a forklift and knocked down the wall of the barn. But while he did that, he ended up crushing Trudy with it and the dollhouse. And he ends up giving her an amnesia. Yes. Good job, Alfie. Senkhara releases, Nina and Patricia. And they go downstairs and they find Victor looking for what they think is the goblet reflector, which they have. Vera meets up with Rufus in the library, and she basically says that no one can implicate him on anything that is being done. And he reveals that he has the mask. And he's like, do you want to share its power with me? Like, share its power with me. And she doesn't really know how to answer. She like kind of agrees, but not really. She's hesitant. And Victor's like, okay, I'll give you some time, but you need to come up with this answer, and you need to come up with this answer quickly. And so when she goes back to the house, she goes down to the cellar to visit Victor, who's working on the elixir, because if they get the mask, they also have to have the elixir done too, because the mask is supposed to help them find the tears of gold, and he's missing the tears of gold. Anyways, they're chit-chatting in the basement, and then they hear a noise. And they're like, whoever that is, like, come out. You need to show yourself. So guess who appears? It's Senkhara. And she comes to them, and she calls them thieves and pretenders. And she's so mad. I was giggling. You guys, I was giggling. She marks Vera. She knocks Victor over. That's not Victor. She marks Victor over. She's that girl. She's that girl. But like every Senkhara encounter ever, Victor wakes up the next morning and he thinks it's a dream. Okay? And they go downstairs. Breakfast is not ready. Uh-oh. And I have in my notes, I love that interaction between Fabes and Nina. Don't know what happened. Maybe I'll remember it later. And Victor sees that there's no breakfast on the table, and he's like, oh, where's Vera? Let me go up to her room to find her. Victor goes up to Vera's room and finds her frozen, kind of like a wax statue. And that bitch is marked, so let's put it on the board. Anyways, the mark's on there now. Bitch is marked. She's the only one I'm happy about being marked. And when he is, like, dreading her mark because he knows what it is, Senkhara appears. Shout out Senkhara. And she's like, yeah, return the reflectors or the frozen one will perish. I will kill her. So Victor, in an effort to make it not look suspicious, not make it easy for Sabuna, he ends up putting all the reflectors back in their original place and leaving his pocket watch out on his desk. And while Sabuna's like, how are we going to get the reflectors from Victor? Like, we know he has the other ones. How are we going to get them back? Victor's like, peace. Like, I'm going out and I don't know how long I'm going to be. So, bye. And Nina worries that this is too easy, but Sabuna quiets her worries, and they end up solving the rest of the Zodiac to find the clues to the reflectors that Victor has and decide that after school they will steal all of the other reflectors they didn't have, that Victor used to have. And so Amber and Alfie are tasked with going up to Vera's room to go get the sun reflector. And while they're up there, they get it, but they're chit-chatting away about all the secret tunnels, secret Sabuna stuff, and then they turn around and they see frozen Vera, and they're like, oh, can she hear her? Because if she can, she just heard us talk about all this stuff that she shouldn't know about, but now that she knows, we could potentially get in trouble with the rest of Sabuna. What are we going to do? Like, this is a state of emergency. Nina, Nina, Nina. Like, this is an emergency. But they vow to keep it a secret between each other, and all of Sabuna heads down with all of the reflectors now to place them in the correct hands to make the correct constellation. And because Sabuna now has all the reflectors, Vera is unfrozen, but she's not unmarked, okay? She's going to be keeping that mark. Don't you worry about it, okay? She's still cursed. She also then tells Victor what she heard about the secret tunnel. R.I.P. Anyways, Sabuna heads down to the light room in the tunnels, and they attempt to finish it with all of their reflectors. Remember that Moon was kind of keeping track of time. Well, the moon is running out. It's starting to go. It's starting to run out. So they only have a certain amount of time before they are unable to make the constellation. And as they try to build it, the hands fall down into the ground. They have failed the light room. So remember how I've been talking about how Nina's gran has been sick this entire time? Well, Nina goes to visit her gran in the hospital. Of course, Fabian, her boyfriend, joins her, and he notices that her middle name is Meridian, and Nina's like, yeah, it's like a family name. I don't really know much about it. So Fabian then notices that she got sick in London, and Nina's like, yeah, she was at the Greenwich, she calls it Greenwich, it's at the Greenwich Observatory. And Fabian then makes the realization that the Greenwich Observatory is right on the International Meridian Line, which is like the time, it's like the line that keeps time all around the world. So if I had a picture, I would put it up there. But the timepiece, this entire time that Senkhara has been talking about, this entire time, she's been talking about this since the first part of this video, technically part 3, but part 1 of season 2. The timepiece has been Nina's gran. Okay, and Nina rolls up her grand sleeve to find that she has the mark of Anubis as well. I didn't put her on here, one, because I didn't have a lot of room. Just because this isn't filled yet doesn't mean that there won't be stuff there. Anyways, I didn't have a lot of room. But yeah, Nina's gran has been cursed. Senkhara cursed her gran when she stayed at House of Anubis. So R.I.P. Nina's gran. R.I.P. So with Nina's gran getting worse and them failing the constellation room, Nina worries what this means for them. And Alfie suggests that they just go downstairs and they hold all of the reflectors. The problem is they only have 5 people in Sabuna, so they need an extra 6th person to hold the last reflector to complete the constellation. Amber and Nina are against the idea of bringing anybody else in, but Patricia wants to use her boyfriend, Eddie. So she comes up with this plan that Sabuna will all go downstairs to the tunnel while Patricia brings Eddie to the library under the guise of a blind date. She'll take him down the tunnel and he'll help complete the constellation. With the help of Eddie, they are able to complete the constellation. Eddie is yapping about how much he cares about Patricia. It's so cute. Honestly, because they technically spend more time together as a couple, I have to say Petty might be Fabina, but it's just not true. It's Fabina, Petty, and then it's Amphi. Sabuna completes the constellation, and the next room opens up. Remember the riddle said the chamber of the mask. And while Patricia is trying to get Eddie to go back upstairs, keep in mind he's blindfolded, he can't see, she shoves him into the next room and he almost gets beheaded. Luckily he is fine and she's able to take him back upstairs. But as she goes to close the bookshelf, she ends up dropping a bracelet, but she doesn't know. This will be important later. The remaining members of Sabuna, Nina, Fabian, Amber, and Alfie, end up going into the next room, and they see that the floor looks like a board, like a game board, and there are already jackal pieces on said board. And Vera remembers, the entire thing that Amber and Alfie said, so she goes into the library. I don't know why I touched Victor. She goes into the library to investigate where the secret tunnel is, and while she's in there, Rufus comes in. He's fucking mad. Okay, he's pissed. He hasn't heard back from Vera on his offer to live forever, and so he's mad about that, because I think he also has a crush on her. This love triangle, insane. At this point, Rufus is like, look, I have the mask. And if you don't want to go with me, I'm just going to do it alone. So he tries to do the ritual, but the ritual doesn't end up working. And he realizes that the mask is a fake. R.I.P. He then tells her to get the real mask or he will kill her. So yeah, he's not against waging death threats against anyone. Vera is freaked out about this. She ends up going to Victor and she's like, we need to find this mask. It's life or death. We need to find this mask. And Victor's like, well, girl, what do you want me to do about it? I no longer have my amulet. And Vera's like, you don't need to worry about that, boo. I got you. Anyways, Vera reveals that she has the secret passageways to the tunnel. Meanwhile, Fabian has been researching what the game might be in the last tunnel, and he finds out it is a game called Senet. They spelled this 2 different ways in the subtitles that I had. S-E-N-E-T and like Senate, like actual, like the Senate here in America. So I'm assuming it's S-E-N-E-T because why would it be like Senate here? I don't know. They just spelled it 2 different ways. However, no one knows the exact rules of how Senate is played. And so when they go down to like see what's going on and look at the room more, Alfie takes a step on the board, and at that moment, the real mask of Anubis is revealed. Alfie attempts to go grab the mask that has been revealed, and a message begins to play out from Robert Frobisher Smythe. The golden prize will tempt the fool. The wise should heed this golden rule. The game of Senet you cannot win. Only the reckless will even begin. One wrong move will seal your fate, and end too dark to contemplate. So Fabian thinks that since this ominous message from Robert Frobisher Smythe, who is probably literally a psychopath, plays out, he thinks that they should learn the rules and figure out how to truly play the game and beat it before they even think about attempting to try to cross the board. They think that there's some key that might help them figure out how to try to play this game. And Trudy has said something along the lines of remembering where this key is. Remember, she has amnesia, but she's kind of like remembering things here and there. So they're sitting with her, they're trying to make her remember, and she reveals that the key is like in the seat of knowledge or the layer of knowledge, which they think to mean the library. As all of the children are at school, Victor and Vera end up finding the secret tunnel. They end up making their way down, and they end up finding the Senate board. And Victor recognizes this. He's like, 1, there's a mask. And 2, I know what Senate is. I used to play it with my father. So that's unfortunate. Yet another thing that Victor just has in his arsenal. I should snap Corbier's head off like they did in season 1. Sabuna then begins investigating the library, and Amber points out that a tile in the floor looks like the Senate board. So yay, we have found the Senate board key. And Nina comes back in to see that they have found the key. But at the same time, Jasper also appears with the mask. So now Jasper and Sabuna knows that Rufus knows that he did not have the real mask of Anubis. Oh shit, he's gonna be on their fucking trail. During this conversation, they're wondering and talking about the mask and why Senkhara might want it. And Amber says that Senkhara can't even wear the mask because she's a ghost. So Sabuna starts playing Senet. They start practicing. Fabian, of course, is their best player, and they realize that some of the squares on the board are danger squares, and if you land on it, you could lose a life. So Fabian has been practicing playing Senet. He is the best out of all of them, winning 2 out of 4 games. They determine this like 50-50 chance, which is like really low if like your life is on the line, and they decide to sneak down and begin playing. And they notice that only the jackals are on the board. So that means Fabian is going to be the game master, and Nina, Amber, Patricia, and Alfie are going to be pieces. Oh, yes. So the game is going to go, Sabuna has to move. They get 4 turns to move all of the people, and then the jackals will move. But they are not exactly sure how the jackals are going to move. And if they land on a danger square, like I said, you lose a life. So that means one of them could get hurt or something. And when they go down to sneak down to play, Victor also follows to see their progress. But before he can get down to the tunnels, Senkhara threatens him. I love when she actually does good stuff. Like when she's not bothering these people, it's fine. When she's bothering these people, I'm all for it. Anyways, the game is being played. The game is going well. Fabian is advancing across the board. Amber steps on a danger square but doesn't have anything happen to her. She's okay. Fabian's next move, however, is going to land both Nina and Amber on a danger square. When this happens, Amber is safe. A black hole opens under Nina and sucks her into the floor. So Nina is taken. Brad's acting is eating again. Guys, the part 2 is just going to be full of me talking about Brad's acting. Brad Kavanen, I love you. Anyways, Nina gets taken. R.I.P. Nina. As Brad Kavanen finishes his beautiful, beautiful acting trope, Fabian decides to withdraw the rest of the remaining Sabuna members from the board in an effort to prevent anyone else from getting taken. And after Nina is taken and they have retreated, a message from Robert plays yet again. My warnings were ignored. Now count the cost. Continue the task and all will be lost. But if fallen friends you wish to reclaim, you have no choice but to finish the game. So to get Nina back, they must complete and win the game of Senet. And because they have lost Nina, that means they have delayed the search for the mask. This anchors Senkhara, and she starts abusing these 4 people's marks. And Fabian's like, don't worry. We're going to get the mask, and we're going to get Nina. And Senkhara says, okay, you have 3 days. 3 days, and then I'm moving on. I'm moving to the next one. Patricia, ever so persistent, just like she was with Joy, wants to immediately go back down to the tunnel and play again. She wants to get back Nina, but everybody else is pretty resistant to this idea because, any wrong move can make them lose anybody, and after Fabian runs out of pieces, he can no longer play. I wrote, this episode is just Brad Heavy, OMG, give him his Emmy. I guess he was acting his little heart out. He's like, Mans was struggling, okay? Fabian is struggling this episode. Victor points out to Vera that Nina Martin has the same mark that she has, which means like they're cursed. And Vera makes a point to say that Nina has gone missing. And Victor's like, don't worry. That means she's safely out of the way. That means he has an opportunity to slide into the Senet game and play. Fabian keeps practicing the game of Senet. And Jerome is kind of in the know, but not really in the know, and notices what's going on with Fabian. Fabian can't get the game right. And so Jerome pulls Alfie to the side, and he's like, is this about Rufus? Is this about this whole thing? And Alfie's like, no, it's just some game. While this is partially true, Jerome's not entirely convinced. He's never really convinced with anything anyone has said in this second half, is he? But don't worry, you guys. Our girl Nina is safe and sound in some cellar. And when she wakes, she finds the ghost of Victor. JK, it's Victor Rodenmeyer Sr. It's his dad. We're going to call him Mr. Dad, because calling him Senior or Mr. Victor Roderman Sr. was too much for me. So I called him Mr. Dad in my script. Fabian is freaking out. Of course he is. His girlfriend is gone. He doesn't know where she is. He doesn't know if she's alive. And he freaks out in class, and he's like running to go tell Mr. Sweet, because remember, Mr. Sweet does know about all of this mystery stuff. Okay, Victor is updating him, and he was a part of the society. Amber ends up following him out, and while they're arguing in Mr. Sweet's office because he had to leave before they could say anything, they hear Nina. They hear her down in the cellar, and they get really excited because their girl is okay. So Fabian can finally fucking breathe. He can finally fucking relax. All the while, Vera, back at the house, has been avoiding Rufus. Remember, he waged a death threat at her. I would avoid him too. And so he calls her. And while she's on this call with him, Victor walks in. He's like, who's that? And she's like, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. He ends up letting it go. But then he kicks her ass out. Don't worry, it's not that evil. Don't worry, it's not as evil as it seems, unfortunately. He's kicking her out for safety. She is marked. He doesn't know where Senkhara is. She's attached to the house. He wants her out, but she refuses to leave. Like, she won't leave. This is probably due to her fear of Rufus more than anything. But I really wish that it was malicious and him kicking her out, but it's not. Sabuna ends up heading down to go play another game of Senet, hoping that with this renewed joy that Nina is not dead, that they can maybe find her and get her back. And while Nina is down there, she ends up talking to Mr. Dad again, and he reveals that he was also on the hunt for the mask, and that he was playing Senet, ended up getting stuck down there, like I said earlier, and he ended up perishing because no one could get him. While they play, Alfie ends up on a danger square. He almost gets taken, but he does not. Patricia saves him before he falls in. And because of this, Fabian yet again has them retreat, but now he knows something a little more about the jackals. They are limited in how much they can move. They can only really spin. They can't move as freely as they do in the normal game, but he has to figure out just exactly how they move. He figures that to figure this out, they need a strategist, someone who is sneaky. Vera tells Victor that she won't leave the house. Anyways, let's get back to Sabuna. They're more interesting. Fabian picks Joy. He picks Joy to be their strategist. Why does he pick Joy? Because the entire time that Joy was being held captive by her parents and the society, she only could play chess on the computer. She was playing against a computer and she was winning. So she obviously is smart enough to try to figure out the game of Senet. Everyone is against this idea, but for different reasons. Either they don't want Joy involved because she has been doing some catty stuff. I haven't mentioned it. We'll talk about it in discussing the characters. She's been doing some catty stuff. Essentially, some people don't trust her. Some people know, would not want her getting involved. Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But Fabian is 10 toes down. He is 10 toes down. He does not want it to be anyone else. He wants it to simply be Joy. So Nina, who is stuck in this poor room, gets visited by Mr. Dad again. She begins to ask him some questions about what's going on. Remember, Mr. Dad knows a lot about this. He's the one who was close to the Frobisher Smides. He helped form a lot of this. So she asks him what it's like and what it means to be the chosen one, and he reveals that she is a direct descendant of the goddess Amneris. He also calls her the Paragon. This is interchangeable with the chosen one. He then mentions this new word that we have yet to hear about an Osiris, who is the chosen one's other half. The Osiris is meant to protect the chosen one. They are a bonded pair. They are a destined pair. And he says that the Osiris and the Paragon have been paired together for centuries. Fabian then asks Mr. Dad who her Osiris is, and he doesn't know who hers is, but he does say that he is close. And Fabian decides to go to Joy and ask her to join the Sabuna cause, to which she does. So let's add her to the board. So essentially, what Joy is kind of what Jerome was at the end of season 1. She is a temporary Sabuna member. I'm putting her on the board though, okay? She's helping out the cause. She deserves to be on the board, and I just think she's really cute. I think Joy is adorable. Anyways, she is a temporary member. She knows like the base level stuff. It's like a need to know basis. So Joy begins to play Senet, and she keeps on winning. So as Joy keeps practicing with everybody, Vera is up to something, but we're not entirely sure what. So Amber and Alfie begin investigating because, when you plot together, you stay together. Victor's also practicing his Senet playing. Okay, so we have Victor and Joy practicing their Senet playing. And Nina, to keep her mind alive, is practicing states because she's American. I know I haven't mentioned it a lot this season, but she's American. Don't forget that she is American. And while she's doing that, Mr. Dad appears again, and he's basically like, oh, you're trying not to let your brain die or whatever. So she asks him about the Osiris again, and he reveals that Sarah was the chosen one, which is why she knew who Nina was right away, and that Rufus was her Osiris. But he got too greedy, too evil, and ended up destroying the connection. So remember when I said that Vera was plotting? Well, Trudy has called in a therapist to help her. She calls it a memory doctor with her amnesia after her little bump in the barn. Turns out this therapist is working with Vera, and he's using this Egyptian memory box on her to replace her memories, which he is going to give to Vera to work on the children of Anubis. You have to accept the box as a gift and believe in its power. And because Amber and Alfie have heard this discussion, they run off to tell Sabuna what's going to happen. That they're going to be offered the box so that they can be mind controlled to be the pieces of Victor's Senet game. And that they just can't believe that it works because it's all part of some plan that's going to put them in danger, essentially. So the memory doctor goes to visit Jasper while Joy is still in the library. And we realize that the memory doctor is Rufus this entire time. During this time, he relieves Jasper of his duties, so he is no longer indebted to him, but tells him he has to keep his secret or else he will kill Fabian. So even though he's no longer in service, he's sworn to secrecy, or else it is Fabian's life. And Victor and Vera are beginning their plan to get the Sabuna kids hypnotized so that they can take them down to be Senet pieces so they can have the mask and the Sabuna kids will never know. Joy brings this information to the Sabunas that the memory doctor is in fact Rufus. and they still decide to go along with the plan that they will pretend to be hypnotized, so that instead of Victor using them, they will be using Victor to further their Senet game. Even though Joy has been successfully playing, they're going to give Victor's play a shot. Joy does plead to let her be the game master, but they're running out of time. Remember, they were given 3 days. They're running out of time, and the plan starts planning. Okay, Victor and Vera hypnotize Sabuna, and they head down to the tunnels with Joy in tow. And Rufus makes his way back to Anubis' house to go speak with Vera, who is down in the cellar with Victor and the Sabunas, and ends up running to Jerome instead. R.I.P. Jerome, your trauma with Victor will never be forgotten because you keep having it over and over again. We are playing... Sorry, my face itches. We are playing the game, and Victor figures that the jackals turn in a set pattern, and Joy begins recording them so that it could better help with her strategy for if she has to become game master. It is coming up to Victor's next turn, and he moves Alfie to a danger square, and this time, instead of escaping getting sucked down into the cellar, Alfie is taken down into the cellar, and when Victor realizes that this game is actually leading to the danger of the children, he ends up telling Vera to get them out of the unhypnotize them and pull out. And she's like, no, just continue. Who cares if we lose them? And Victor's like, no, I'm not putting the safety of these children at risk. Which is so... This is the one time I was actually in Victor's corner because... And he showed this in season 1 too. He's willing to hurt the children in a way, but he's never really willing to hurt the children. He will be a petty little brat to them, but he would never sacrifice their lives. And I really appreciate that. Vera would, because her life is at stake. But I don't think she really knows that their lives are at stake too. But anyways, Victor ends up retreating along with Vera. The kids were never really hypnotized, and Joy pops out and she's like, I didn't realize that was going to happen when you guys laid it on Danger Squares, but I think I'm starting to understand how the game is played and how the jackals move. Sabuna then decides to retreat to see if Alfie is with Nina. All the while back at Anubis' house, Rufus attempts to leave with Jerome, but luckily Eddie walks in, so he sees this, and Rufus lies and says that he is Jerome's uncle and that he is taking him away. He uses the same name that he used in season 1, Renee. He's got to cover his tracks, you know? Don't worry, you guys. Alfie is with Nina, so he is okay, and now she has a friend. And Rufus calls Vera to let her know that he has Jerome. The next morning, Jerome does not show for breakfast, of course, because he's kidnapped again. And Eddie says something about him being with his uncle, but the kids don't really press about it because he does have some uncles. And Victor, worried about sacrificing Alfie's life, wanted to talk to his bestie Sweet about it, but Vera isn't worried, and she essentially says, Sabuna isn't worried, so why should you be? She then says that they need a plan B, and Victor begins to reject Vera, okay? He is really disgusted by her inability to worry about these children after they get sucked down into a hole where he doesn't know if they're dead or alive. At least he got a backbone, finally. It took him long enough. Poppy approaches Mara, who both of these people are not on the board, in reference to Jerome. There's something going on with his dad, and Mara reveals that he is with an uncle, and she says David or Simon. We know that he is with his uncle Renee, so that will be important later, don't you worry about it. And Sabuna decides that they finally need to go down and play with Joy as the game master because their time is coming to an end. Their 3 days are almost up. Joy says that she just needs a little more time because she is planning a safe pass, but tonight is too early. She's not quite ready. And Eddie starts to become suspicious of everything going on around him. Mr. Dad then visits Nina in the cellar, and she asks about the mask, and he reveals that it does give the tears of gold. But before he can say more, Senkhara appears, and she's like, old man, get the fuck out of here. She says, you know what, Chosen One, you're taking too long. If you don't speed this up, if you don't get this mask, I'll just move on to the next one. But she doesn't know who to replace Nina with, so she goes to Fabian, thinking that he is the Osiris. Instead of waking Fabian, Senkhara wakes Eddie, and he tells her to go away so he can see her without the mark. Fabian also wakes up to Senkhara offering her hand to Eddie, and he's like, Eddie, don't take it. Both boys end up waking up because, yes, it is a dream. And Eddie asks if they were having a shared dream. And Fabian lies and says, no, you woke me up. So there's something going on with Eddie. Fabian tells Patricia about the dream that he had and that Eddie saw Senkhara again and urges her to make sure he stays away. And at this point, Joy reveals that she has cracked how to play the game and that she is very confident that she can move all of the Sabuna pieces over to the other side safely. As the day progresses, we go back down to Nina in the cellar where she is visited by Mr. Dad one final time where he says he has to take his leave. He is transferring over to the other side but leaves her with a ring to give to Victor, which is very sweet. At school, Poppy approaches Mara and lets her know that he is not with either of his uncles, and so they begin to become suspicious and decide that they will ask Eddie more about this mysterious uncle who came to collect Jerome randomly from school. Because Rufus only has really this barn to keep people, he's keeping Jerome in this barn set next to this safe. And because Jerome now knows that Rufus is the collector, he wonders what might be in the safe, and because he has nothing but time on his hands and the knowledge with how to pick a safe because his dad taught him how to, begins to begins to pick the safe. Mara, after school, approaches Eddie with more questions about this mysterious uncle, and even though he can't remember the name, he does remember that it starts with an R. So that night, Sabuna decides to travel down to the tunnels to play the game. Joy as the game master, everyone else besides Alfie and Nina as game pieces, and Victor and Vera decide to follow them down too to see how they are progressing. Victor mostly to see where Alfie went and a little bit to get the mask. Joy is playing a pretty good game, but then it gets to a point in time where Amber has to step on a danger square near one of the jackals who is unpredictable because Joy didn't get footage of him. But she's like, I'm understanding what he's doing. I'm pretty confident that if Amber steps on this square, she won't get taken. But Fabian's like, but you don't know that. The danger square that Patricia is on, that Amber could step onto, we know is safe. So Amber step on the square that Patricia is on. And Joy's like, no, you literally brought me here to be the strategist. Step on the square, I'm telling you. He might be unpredictable, but I think she's going to be fine. Amber is confused, steps on the danger square with Patricia, and both of them get taken. Rightfully, Joy gets mad at Fabian because she's like, why did you even bring me down here if you're not going to trust what I'm going to say? They get into this whole argument, and Fabian relents and realizes that, yes, Joy knows what she's doing and that he needs to trust her. They end up playing the game. Of course, Fabian has to do all the moves by himself. And when it gets down to the square that Amber was on, Fabian's like, tell me what your original plan was, and we'll talk about it, and I'll maybe go through with it. He ends up going through with it, and they end up winning. All the jackal pieces retreat, and they are given the option of 2 keys, for the mask and for their friends. Joy originally grabs the key for the mask. When Fabian goes to grab the key for his friends, it's stuck. He can't remove it. So they have a choice. Either save their friends or get the mask. And they decide to save their friends. So they get the key to save their friends, and they are led down to a tunnel where they reunite with Nina, Alfie, Amber, and Patricia. After Sabuna has gotten their friends back, they decide to retreat because they need to, 1, figure out how to get the mask, and 2, Nina wants to see her gran and shower. So they head back up. Vera and Victor head down to see that the mask is still locked away, so now they also have to figure out how to get the mask out. When Patricia goes back upstairs, Eddie is presenting her with all of this stuff that he is noticing because, she's been ditching him, all this stuff is going on, he saw this ghost. And while they're doing that, Mara comes in and further asks him about this uncle with an R name. He then remembers that the uncle's name is Renee, and Patricia automatically gets scared because Renee, an uncle, and she's like, describe how he looks. He ends up describing Rufus, and she flips the fuck out because Rufus has Jerome. That's not good. Victor goes up to Vera's room to talk to her about not being able to get the mask, and while he's in there, her phone gets a message, and he looks at it, and he sees that it's from our Zeno. So Victor has finally figured out that Vera is in fact working with Rufus and that the kids were not lying to him. This time, though, he does kick her out. Yes! I hear y'all cheering. I'm cheering, you're cheering. Did I ship them? Yes. Do I want her ass out of this house? Yes. And I'm so happy that she's gone. Senkhara then decides to visit Nina before she can go visit her gran. And she's like, you know what? I'm moving on. I'm moving to the Osiris. You are not unique. The mask is. And tomorrow, I'm going to kill your gran and all your friends. You will know all by sundown. Patricia runs to Sabuna to tell that Jerome has been kidnapped by Rufus. Nina runs to Sabuna to tell her message from Senkhara. So we're going to have a little split up moment. Fabian, Alfie, and Patricia are going to go to the barn to see if that is where Jerome is being kept, while Amber and Nina try to figure out some way to get the mask out. And Fabian actually pleads with them to take Joy. So they take Joy with them to the library to go see if they can find any clues, the key to the mask. Editing Lauren here. Why the fuck did I say library? Guys, sometimes I say things as a joke. Like, for a really long time, I said picture as a joke. I can say picture. Look at all these pictures I have on my wall. I can say picture. Never have I said library. And I said it in this video and I'm pissed off. Library, by the way. I can pronounce it. Anyways, I just need to add that in because I, rewatched it and I was like, did I seriously just hear myself say library? Library? No. All the while, back to Jerome, who's being held captive. He finally cracks the safe, and he finds his precious, precious gem. Rufus comes to check on him, and while he's there, he gets a call from Vera, and she tells him that she got kicked out, R.I.P. During this time, while he is distracted, Jerome pushes him out of the way and runs out of the barn. And because Alfie, Patricia, and Fabian are all seeing this happen, Jerome is hiding behind some hay, and Fabian throws a rock to distract Rufus, but unfortunately, Jerome knocks some shit over and Rufus grabs him again. The barn gang actually was followed by Eddie. Eddie was suspicious of what Patricia was doing and followed her. So while they go into the barn to check on Jerome, Eddie is following them. The girlies are in the library looking around for any clues as to where this key to the mask might be, and Nina remembers not only what Trudy said, but the doll's original message. Lift the wings to find the book. The Athenaeum is the place to look. I'm surprised I remember that, you guys. Couldn't remember it in the first time I filmed this. Now I remember it now. And she looks over at the stairs. Remember where Victor opened it in the first episode? And open and twist them to reveal the compartment for the Book of Isis. She opens the compartment and it's lined with red fabric. She tears open that fabric and she ends up finding the key, but they'll have to come back later for the mask. The barn gang is spying on Rufus and Jerome, and they overhear his conversation with Vera about how he wants to get the mask so he can join the Egyptian afterlife and become a god. And Fabian begins to worry that this is what Senkhara wants Nina for. Fabian begins to worry that this is what Senkhara wants, but to get to the Egyptian afterlife, you need to have a body. So he's thinking that Senkhara is going to use Nina's body to get into the Egyptian afterlife. Fabian decides to branch off from the other people in the barn to go stop Nina from putting this mask on. And when they look back after deciding that Fabian will leave, they see that Rufus has left, with Jerome being left with a bag over his head. Alfie and Patricia sneak over to free Jerome from his captivity, and when they take the bag off of his head, it is not Jerome, it is Eddie. This is when they find out that Eddie has followed them. He ended up getting switched with Jerome when he went to go follow Rufus to see what he was doing. So Rufus has taken Jerome somewhere we do not know, and they end up freeing Eddie from being held captive. Now that they have time, the girls, Amber, Nina, and Joy, head down to the mask chamber, free the mask. And Senkhara's like, yes, put that mask on, girl. But luckily, King Fabian hath made it down in time, and he is able to stop Nina before putting on the mask, and reveals that Senkhara's plan is to have Nina wear the mask so that she can possess Nina, and they can go to the afterlife together. Nina ends up taking the risk of putting the mask on because she'd rather her friends not be cursed than her not die. Yeah, girly, I don't know if this is the way. She goes to put the mask on and nothing happens, and Senkhara gets mad and she's like, you know what? I'm moving on to the next one. She's moving to the Osiris. And as soon as she leaves, Nina's locket begins glowing, and it reveals that the real mask is hidden. So the one that they thought was the real one, no. Turns out this fake mask was the final clue. This makes Senkhara come back, and a message begins to play out from the mask. The true mask still waits, hidden for all to see. The portal of the mind awakes. The paragon is the key. Nina then guesses that the replica mask is not the replica, But the real mask of Anubis. So when I tell y'all this was revealed to me, I was very mad. Because even though we spent all this time going through all these tunnels, and I know it's probably important to figure that out, the real mask of Anubis was in their grasp the entire time. It wasn't like the cub, where they actually had to find the pieces and build the pieces. In my opinion, they solved a bunch of useless fucking tunnels. Almost killed Nina. Almost killed Alfie. Countless things are cursed. All for it to be revealed that they had the mask the whole time. I don't get to watch House of Anubis as often as I get to watch My Babysitter's a Vampire. I think I said this. If not, I'll say it here. I've rewatched My Babysitter's a Vampire countless times, okay? I own the first season. I own the movie. I don't really watch season 2 all that much. House of Anubis, I didn't have a lot of rewatchability because God, do they make it hard to rewatch it. When I saw this reveal, I was pissed off. I would love to know what little me thought when she saw this reveal. Anyways, they now have to go get the mask that is in the exhibit, because that's the real mask. At this point in time, Vera, Rufus, and Jerome show up in the library as Sabina attempts to leave and starts to make their way down to the tunnel. At this moment, Victor, with all his research, realizes that the mask doesn't have a third eye. So now everybody and their mother are venturing down to the tunnels to get this mask, which is not the real mask. As Patricia, Alfie, and Eddie make their way back to Anubis' house, Eddie begins to hear whispers of the chosen one. Alfie plans to go down to the tunnels to make sure that the rest of Sabina is okay. Luckily, Nina has her locket. Of course, she always has her locket. So Sabina's coming out of the oven at the same time that Alfie plans to go down to the tunnels. I really don't know how he planned to do that, because literally Patricia was like, you can't go down without the person, without the thing. And they tell him that Jerome is down there with Rufus, and my King Alfie is always going to fight for his bestie Jerome. So he makes his way down to the tunnel with Amber following in tow to make sure that Alfie is okay, to get Jerome out of a dangerous situation. Victor also follows them down and comes face to face with Rufus. Turns out Rufus has masterminded everything, okay? He's the one who sent the letter to Victor about the treasures of Egypt. He's been playing Puppet Master this entire time. Taylor Swift, if you will. He is a mastermind. I was going to sing Mastermind, and I can hear the song in my head, but I can't tell you a single word of it right now. I can't think about it. Rufus then says, I have a ceremony to perform, but Victor shoves in his face that he won't be able to do it because the mask doesn't have the third eye. Third eye, which is the Frobisher gem. Jerome, using this moment of confusion, gets the mask, the fake mask, away from Rufus. He throws it to Alfie, who leads Rufus and Victor out of the tunnel. All the while, Patricia's explaining everything Rufus-ish to Eddie. Eddie then shows the gem to Patricia, and when he's showing it to her, it begins to burn his hand. As he touches the gem again after dropping it after it burned him, he hears whispers of Osiris and Chosen One. He then hears whispers telling her to go find Nina, so let's just put him on the board. Nina, Joy, and Fabian have made their way to the library to find the mask, which they successfully do. Amber and Jerome then come up through the secret tunnel, I believe. They make it to the library, and they tell Nina that the mask needs the third eye, which is the Frobisher gem. And as soon as they say that, Eddie and Patricia bust in, and he's like, Nina, you need this. So it turns out it is not Fabian who is her Osiris, it is Eddie. So they are destined pairs, the two American people. And when Nina goes to grab the gem, Eddie takes it from her, and he's like, think about what you're doing. He's suddenly very clued into everything that is going on. It's because the whispers in his head. Nina takes the gem, puts it in the mask. Senkhara appears and she puts on the mask, which begins weeping tears of gold. Senkhara then, like her plan, possesses Nina and a portal opens up and she makes Nina walk to the portal. But the rest of the Sabunas try to stop her, and as they do, she throws a bolt of lightning at Fabian, which Joy pushes him out of the way and gets knocked out. The voice then calls to Eddie again and tells him to grab Senkhara's crown to use it to destroy her. He does so, and Nina is now free. Senkhara is powerless. She no longer has, she's kind of like swirling at the top of the room. At this point, Rufus walks in, sees Nina wearing the mask, and goes up to take it from her. I love this scene. It's so funny. I wish I had audio. And Nina, pleads with him not to wear it. She's like, don't wear it, don't wear it, don't wear it. You don't know what you're getting into. Rufus takes the mask, ends up putting it on, gets possessed by Senkhara, and both of them fall into hell. Left in its wake is the mask of Anubis. All has seemed to settle. Unfortunately, because of the lightning bolt that Senkhara Nina threw at Joy, Joy is dying. She's not dead, but she is dying. On the mask of Anubis is a single tear of gold, which is used to save Joy's life. After all of this happens, everybody's marks disappear. So we can just take those off. Alfie takes the gem out of the mask. They return it to the Frobisher shield, and Alfie gets back together. Shout out. Nina then gives Victor his father's ring, and inside the ring is a tear of gold. He can now make the elixir of life. Jerome and Mara are not dating. This is a little fun thing I wanted to include. And at this end of year party they're throwing or whatever, Eddie ends up asking Mr. Sweet about Osiris and wonders if this is the reason that Mr. Sweet has kept him so far away for so many years. Nina and Fabian are back together. Yay. And her grand is doing a lot better. So yeah, and that's it. That's the end of House of Anubis. There is no season 3. There is no Touchstone of Ra. There is. Okay, so let's look at the board. This is the entire board we have. This is all of the Sabuna allies, the Sabuna foes, everything that has led us to the Mask of Anubis that we've had this entire time, okay? That is season 2. At this current moment, I will not be doing season 3 until Paramount Plus decides to put it back there on free. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm not paying all that money for Touchstone of Raw in season 3. I'm really not interested in it, but I'm happy to bring you season 2. I've enjoyed doing this. I appreciate this very much, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Ooh. Sabuna. Okay. Hi. Hey everybody, welcome to my room. As a celebration of the ending of the House of Anubis recap, I wanted to do something special, similar to what I did for my Babysitter's a Vampire when I crowned Ethan and Benny a starring place on my wall. They have since moved. I have redone my wall, and they are now over here. But when I was picking the photos for my wall, I realized that I wanted to add something House of Anubis-y so that it could be a part of this big wall full of things that I love: movies, music, my friends, my family, everything that I love. I thought House of Anubis deserved a place there. This show has been a big part of my life since I was a child, and now an even bigger part of my life as a 22-year-old woman, because y'all love this video essay and you are asking for more, and I thought, what a great way to pay homage to it by putting it on my wall of stuff that I love. So when I was picking photos, I tried to pick something that was a little behind the scenes cast photo. I love photos like that. I have one of the Titans cast here because I just love those. They bring a lot of authenticity to the cast. And I picked this one. Normally I would like to do a photo from the video essays, but I just don't think there's a photo from the Anubis video essays that would exactly blend or make sense on this wall. So I found this cutesy patootsy little cast photo of the cast of season 1. The only person missing is Eddie, so sorry to the Eddie stans. If I could replace him with Mick, no offense to Bobby Lockwood, I would, but anyways, I thought this would be a cute little photo to put up on my wall to celebrate the ending of the House of Anubis recap. Thank you guys so much for all the love that you have given it. I'm eternally grateful and just so happy about it. So let's put it up on the wall and close this chapter on my channel. Ew, that was anyways. Ta-da! It's up on the wall. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting this video series. Thank you for supporting me. And most importantly, thank you for being so patient. There has been a lot of bumps in the road to season 2, but I am so happy to bring it to you and so happy to hear your guys' responses. I will see you next time.